When you clicked on this video, did you by any chance notice that the NMR character was screaming? Well, that's me today. I am in the mood to scream about so many things because this film upsets me so much. Welcome to Nigerian movie reviews, and today I will be talking about the Nollywood movie Criminal. In this review, I am going to discuss the things that worked, the things that annoyed me, and at the end, I am going to be rating this film on a scale of 1 to 10. If you have seen this film, I really would love to hear from you. I want to know what you thought about this film, and I want to know your thoughts about the points that I will raise in this review. If you have not seen this film and you are trying to decide if it's worth your while or not, this is a great review, although it's going to be spoiler filled. So if you don't like spoilers, maybe you should watch it first, then come back to listen to this review. But if you don't mind spoilers, then this is the place to be. So let's get to it. Criminal follows the story of an ex-convict and his gang members who hold a hospital hostage. They demand immediate medical attention for his only brother who is bleeding and on the verge of death. I really wanted to like this film, but unfortunately, it turned out to be yet another Nollywood movie that started well but ended up being a disappointment. So, what worked? What did I like about this film? I thought acting and casting were not bad. I really liked seeing Uzor Arukwe play this role. I thought he did a very good job. Funlola Aofiyebi was the lead female. Personally, I feel like Funlola talks and acts the same way most times in all her roles, all the films that I have seen her in recently, actually. But generally, it was not a bad performance. As for the other characters, I don't want to talk about them one after the other because I can't really say anybody was like a standout, but I would say that they were generally okay. Although there were some people who were overacting here and there, I would say, for example, Chooks Joseph, who played the role of Obina. There were a few times where he screamed, and I was like, was that really necessary? But aside from that, acting and casting were not bad. Like I mentioned earlier, this film started well. I was very impressed at the beginning because it was obvious that they took the time to research the medical terms. Their surgery setup was a significant improvement compared to what you would see in typical Nollywood films. They really wanted to get the surgery scenes right, and I appreciated the effort. For instance, I like that scene where they brought out what was supposed to be a newborn baby. The baby looked a little bit off, right? But I think that might be the most realistic CS scene that I have seen in any Nollywood movie. CS scene that I have seen. Sorry, I didn't mean to rhyme, but you get my point, right? That was all I liked. So, what were the issues? Number one, the story and the storytelling did not make any sense. Oh my god. See, let me calm down. You know that when I hear hostage movies, right, I think high stakes, tension, complex character dynamics, and all the works, right? For most hostage films, there's always like a demand that is not completely within the control of the people being held hostage, right? There's always a process of negotiation with the people on the outside. There's always something very important at stake. And above all, there's always a time frame. I feel like this time frame, it adds like a ticking clock that everyone is conscious about, and it just gives the entire situation more tension. In the case of Criminal, the demand was not anything ridiculous. It was something that was completely within the control of someone that was in the hospital. The stakes were not high, and honestly, it didn't feel like there was a ticking clock. In fact, they were just behaving like they had all the time in the world. It did not, when I say it did not make sense, I mean that it did not make sense that even at gunpoint, a doctor was refusing to treat a patient, even when the lives of other patients, other doctors were at risk. It did not make sense that even when another patient was killed, yes, they killed one of the patients that came in from the accident. Still, this doctor was insisting that she was not going to treat this person.
No, sir.
For some reason, they thought that made sense. But to me, it just made Dr. Amara look like a very irresponsible person. So that particular point, which was like the main premise of the film, it did not make any sense to me. And as soon as I saw that, I was already upset. See, instead of disliking the villain in this film, I felt like the person I disliked the most was Dr. Amara. And that's the first sign that the film is a flop. If the person who is supposed to be the hero is someone that we don't even like. How does that even make any sense? And that brings me to the next issue I had with this film. They gave us unlikable characters. Not one of them was impressive. Not one single person like made me feel like, oh my god, I'm rooting for this person, I'm cheering for this person. Even the most basic form of character development was missing in this film. Aside from Dr. Amara, who I already mentioned was annoying, there was the police officer, Officer Bade. Officer Bade was also a very irresponsible police officer. He engaged in like a full-on shooting spree with Obina in the same space where they were like patients. They could have been shot. In a real life situation, they would have been shot. And I was like, are you telling me that this police guy could not think of a more strategic and sensible way to do this than shooting across the room from normal patients? Or let me talk about Dr. Gbadebo, the one that Uzor punched at the beginning. So because they punched his face, he became an invalid automatically. Like, he could not do anything with his hands. Like, oh my god, it didn't make sense. It didn't make any sense at all. Even Uzor himself, as a villain, I don't even know what I thought about him. He was just, like, there. So, another issue I had with this film was that when I was watching, I had so many questions. Like, why did Chima go to the warehouse at midnight by himself? What exactly was he hoping to achieve? What was the walkie-talkie that he was using? Who were the people he was speaking with? If they were security agents, why did they not appear as soon as they heard that somebody got shot? Right? Like, what happened to them? Did they just disappear and abandon him? Or what exactly happened? Did you notice that when Chima was shot, it was late at night because, of course, it was midnight. But they did not get to the hospital until the following day at around 11. How do I know that it was around 11? Because Dr. Amara received a text message from her daughter at 11:39 saying, "Mommy, don't be late." So where exactly were they? Because according to them, they went to the hospital that was closest to the scene of the accident. So what happened between all those hours? How come Chima did not even die? There was also something else that threw me off in terms of timing for this film. In the hospital, there was a clock on the wall. When they showed us the clock at first, I thought that this clock was going to be important to tell us the time as the day progressed. But I realized that the clock was just there for decoration, because the clock showed how careless the people who worked on this film were. Because, for instance, even though Dr. Amara's phone was saying it was 11:39 when Uzor and his gang got to the hospital, the clock said it was around, I think, past 8 or past 9. So I'm like, what am I supposed to believe? Dr. Amara's phone or the clock on the wall? So let's assume that I choose to believe the clock on the wall, right? All through this film, the clock kept on going crazy. Like, 1 minute, it's 11. The next minute, it's 1 p.m. The next minute, it's back to 9 a.m. Like, I was just irritated because even rookies would not make this kind of mistake. Why in the world would the driver from a blood bank have to enter a surgery room? It didn't make sense, right? It didn't make sense. Let's come back to the surgery. So after the surgery, you would expect Uzor to lead Dr. Amara and the other doctors back to the waiting area, then use them to negotiate his escape, right? But no, that did not happen in this film. After the surgery, Dr. Amara collected her phone, went about her business. The other doctors also disappeared to God knows where. Then Uzor sat in the surgery room and was having a conversation with his brother again, like this was not a hostage film, like he had all the time in the world. See, I was confused. Like, I was thoroughly confused. So moving on, I would say that the action sequences were not great. I can, for example, the scene where Officer Bade and Obina were shooting at themselves. They were shooting at cabinets, they were shooting at glass doors, they were shooting at walls. Nothing shattered. Effects and makeup were poor. The gunshot wounds looked like ketchup. Sometimes blood looked like zobo or watercolor. Injuries suddenly moved from one eye to another eye. Sometimes it completely disappeared. There was this scene where Uzor was killed at the end. I think there was a powdery substance hidden under his shirt. So what was supposed to be blood splashing everywhere when he got shot, it looked like a cloud of dust floating in the air. Like, I could not even believe what I was seeing. Right? So after they have annoyed me already, then we now got to the end when I thought it could not get any worse. Then I realized it could actually get worse. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about from the point where they started clapping for her. Oh my god, that scene was so cringe and it was so awkward. Then did you notice the awkward conversation she had on the phone with her daughter, where she was telling her daughter, "Oh, I can't come to your event because I'm busy. Your dad's job is not as important as mine." That didn't make any sense. But I thought she probably had like a surgery. That's why she could not go up for her daughter's event. I'm like, so you missed your daughter's event because she wanted to donate blood. The question is, what exactly was the purpose of that scene? If I will rate this film, I'll rate it a 3 over 10. And that's because it was a very poor attempt at a hostage film. Like, it was not a good watch for me at all. It was riddled with too many loopholes. There were too many unanswered questions, too many irrelevant scenes, too many things that just did not make sense. So have you seen this film? What would you rate this film on a scale of 1 to 10? What do you think about the points that I raised? Did you notice all these things, or am I just nitpicking? I would like to hear from you. Please share in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.